Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Hoax. I am a second year graduate Master of Occupational Therapy student at Cleveland State University, and I'm going to be your host today for InfoSpot. So, today we are going to be talking about leadership skills and how to transfer them into civilian life, along with the challenges and opportunities that come with that transition. So, today I'm joined by a classmate of mine, Biz, who's going to be my co host for this vlog. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be a part of your vlog today, Brooke. So exciting.
We're happy to have you here, Biz. Thank you so much for joining me. So, I guess just to start, what is occupational therapy? It's just a profession that a lot of people don't know about. So, I thought I'd give a quick little rundown of it. So, we provide interventions to people of all ages, all across the lifespan. So, this could be early intervention from 0 to 3 years old, or anyone in the pediatric realm, adults and geriatrics, as well as any other population that is in need of our services. So this could be a big variety of populations. This includes homeless populations, prison populations. That's a newer area that we're working with, which is pretty cool. So the whole purpose of our intervention is to give people the ability to complete the activities, otherwise known as occupations. That's what we refer to them as, which is why we're called occupational therapists. So it's the activities that they do throughout their day. So this includes the basics like eating, sleeping, dressing, and hygiene, but it also includes more difficult tasks like house management, driving, socializing with people, and completing work in school. So, really, anything that people need or want to do, we're there to help them with. And this is really no different for veterans, military personnel, and their families. We want them to get back to doing the things that they would like to do following their transition from the military back into civilian life, because we do know that that's a very difficult transition. So, some veterans, just for examples, some veterans struggle with tasks such as making their own routine following their service, how to sleep better, what jobs that they can transition to, or sometimes we even modify tasks or environments due to various conditions. So, for example, someone with the TBI may need help with tasks due to their memory loss or memory dysfunction. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about leadership skills. So, for this topic specifically, we want you to be successful in all of the roles in your civilian life, utilizing the skills that you did learn in the military. So, this could be in your student life, your work life, or whatever role you really feel is relevant in your civilian life. Biz, I don't know if you want to add anything onto that.
Yeah, thanks, Brooke. I just wanted to say that I'm super pumped for this topic. This is like an area that I've struggled with growing up with and still sometimes struggle with every day. Leadership skills are just like truly something that are lifelong skills that will be used in all roles taken on in your life. So I think it's super applicable to any situation you're really in.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree that this is something that a lot of people do struggle with. So I'm happy that this is a topic that we are going to be going over. So now I just kind of want to hit on some learning objectives that I hope you guys will get out of this vlog. So the first one is just identify generalized skills that can be transferred from military life to civilian life. The next one is identify how to talk about these skills on a resume or job, apply it in a school setting, or really any other role that you may have. And then finally, available opportunities and resources for veterans in the civilian world. So we kind of already touched on this. Biz already talked about how important it is, but I just really wanted to highlight how important it is to for veterans to be able to transfer these leadership skills. So you guys have a lot of skills that you learn from the military that make you stand out in a crowd of people, whether it's with your professor, networking opportunities, or job opportunities. And sometimes it can be a little difficult to identify what those skills are, as well as how to generalize them in the civilian population and kind of explain how you can leverage yourself. So really, I'm just hoping that you guys understand how important it is utilizing these skills to make you stand out. So to begin, I just wanted to touch on some of those leadership traits. While you think that they're traits that can come naturally to the average person, these are traits that can really make you stand out, like I just said, compared to your classmates or colleagues based on the experiences you have. So just to start, Biz, I'm curious, why do you think that leadership skills are so important in school or in the work field?
Well, as I mentioned before, personally, taking on the leader role and exhibiting leadership skills has been an area in my life that I've considered could use some improvement. I think confidence is key to taking on a leadership role, and I lacked confidence when I was younger. In addition, public speaking was never something I excelled in, and I dreaded any sort of presentation or project in which I had to speak in front of a large group of people. But as I grew older and kind of through college, I began to build my confidence. And with this, my leadership skills enhanced. So it is just so important to have leadership skills in school and working in groups or even in the classroom, because when effective leadership is there, you are able to communicate effectively, be flexible in problem solving, listen to feedback from others, handle responsibilities, and even motivate others. So, an individual who ultimately has effective leadership skills are a great asset to the team in school or in work.
Yeah, I definitely like what you said about the confidence aspect because I really think having these leadership skills does give you a big boost in confidence, which can overall improve your work and maybe your work ethic. So, yeah, I like all of those. Specifically with veterans, I've done some research on my own, and then I also just talked to a few veterans that have successfully transitioned from military to civilian life. And so I've compiled a list of common leadership skills that veterans felt were important when they transition into civilian life, whether it be with their school or just going into the work field. So the first one is adaptability. So when you're a leader in any sort of setting, it's important to know the main objective of what you're trying to complete. In the military, this could be an operation with some sort of mission objective. With school, it can obviously be a variety of things, whether it be completing a homework task or maybe you're assigned in a group project and you have a specific task that your group members assigned you to. We all have experienced something not going according to plan, whether it be in school, work, or within your military life. And in the military, this is pretty significant. It's a pretty fluid environment, and this requires a lot of rapid decisions while still keeping your end goals in mind of what you want to complete. So being able to transfer that into civilian life is huge because being a student or an employee in a fluid setting is super important skill to have, but you guys already have a leg up on it. So Biz, I'm curious, have you ever been in a situation in school or maybe work where you had to adapt your original plan and how did that go?
So yeah, easily. There's been multiple times throughout graduate school that in which I've had to adapt from my original plan. But as of recently, I have had to be very flexible with my school workspace and schedule due to COVID-19, which I know we all have been experiencing some adaptability to these unusual times. For our full time clinical rotations, actually, I had planned to be placed in a setting in the Cleveland area for the summer and in a location in the Cincinnati area for the fall. But due to the pandemic and the great challenge it has been to find placements for students in the hospitals, et cetera, different placements in the area, I was able to be placed in Cincinnati, but it was this summer instead of in the fall. And then I also just haven't been placed for the fall yet. So this sudden change of plans and the potential uncertainty initially left me feeling like super anxious and upset about the whole situation. I'm a big planner, as I know a lot of people are, and all of a sudden my life seemed to be turned completely upside down. So after like a much needed run through Lakewood Park, I began to think more clearly and accept that life doesn't always go as planned. In fact, it more so throws you those curveballs than not. So what helped me adapt was kind of restructuring my goals and plans for the upcoming year. And like ultimately what I needed to do was accept that I may not be placed in the fall and that that is okay. And that I will be productive instead and come up with a different plan, a backup plan if I don't get placed. So I'll study for our licensure exams or boards. So ultimately, like what I learned from that experience was being productive and making new goals helped me adapt to this new plan the best that I could.
Yeah, that's a really great example. I definitely know COVID has thrown a loop for everyone. I know me specifically, I have such difficulty being on Zoom and paying attention for that, but I've kind of had to adapt on how I study so that way I'm able to still get the end result of graduating. But I like what you said about just recreating your own goals to make sure that you're still being productive. It's definitely a skill that I think takes some time to do. But I think, once you get the hang of it, it can be something that's obviously very, very valuable to have. So, veterans, you guys already have a leg up on us. All right. So the next little tip that I have is initiative and critical thinking. So that can be huge in the classroom. It really allows you to take charge of your own education experience, and it goes beyond just memorizing the coursework material. It allows you to apply that information to a real life situation. It also allows you to think outside the box and find a solution that might not have been there before. And by taking the initiative to get yourself out into, the classroom discussions and talking with your professors and asking questions, maybe going to office hours, you can show your professors that you really care about your education. And the same tactic, oh, sorry, I can't talk. The same tactic goes for civilian careers. So being proactive about it and being able to critically think on the job is a skill that a lot of employment places look for when they're hiring managers look for when they're hiring. Okay. So the next one I have is attention to detail. So the amount of detail that military personnel have to pay attention to in order to complete their job is a huge skill that can be transferred to really any role that you have in your life, whether it be in the classroom or the work field or just within your day-to-day life while socializing with people. It allows you to note the little details in assignments or projects that a civilian may not notice or might not remember to get done. And so again, that gives you that leg up. So Biz, as a civilian, has there been a project that you have worked on where you didn't see something, some sort of detail, and overall there was some sort of consequence from it?
Oh my gosh, Brooke, yes. Like the situation comes immediately to my mind like it was yesterday. Last year in our spring semester of school, when we were finishing all of our classes at home and online due to COVID, I entirely misinterpreted the prompt for a paper that was counting as a final for one of our classes. And I completed the assignment easily and submitted it without a doubt, thinking that I would get a good grade. And then a week later, I received an email from one of our professors saying that I had actually failed the final for our class, but she was offering an opportunity to give me a C on the paper if I retyped it, which was a lot better than an F at the time, and would have given me a passing grade, which is all I really needed. But ultimately, I was like pretty rattled when I received that email and initially began to panic. And it turned out all okay though. Like I completed the assignment, got a C, passed. It was all right. It was a good learning experience. But thank God for forgiving and flexible professors.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh, that makes my heart drop thinking about that. That's definitely a scary situation. But yeah, so when you are talking to your professors and you have those, that skill to pay attention to all the details that are being given to you and all the information that's being given to you, that really gives you more of an understanding of the project and overall just helps you complete it better. So definitely a super leg up on that. A good way to talk to your professors about that. Okay, so the next one I have is communication. So obviously, we all know that communication is a very heavily relied on skill just in your general life, but specifically with school, it's very nice to be able to communicate efficiently and effectively with your professors and with your classmates, especially if you're working on a group project. And that, goes for work as well. When you're working on a team and you're able to explain something efficiently and effectively to someone, it can really, really boost the outcome of whatever you're trying to get done. And I know in the military, communication is a very, very important thing to have. And it's something that you guys practice a lot. And so I think, you guys have a really big, again, a leg up on it compared to civilians who maybe don't have all that practice speaking on a team and making sure that you guys are getting the things done that you need to get done. So, Biz, what do you think helps good communication?
I think that's something that is commonly overlooked in communication is body language and nonverbal communication. While you may be saying one thing, your body language could be giving off a whole other message that you may not want to be giving. So I think it's just important to always keep in mind what is your body? Is your body matching the same message that you're trying to communicate?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And that's something that I know I personally need to work on. Sometimes my face just kind of goes flat when I'm listening to someone. And so I need to make sure that when I am communicating with someone and listening to them, that I make sure that, I'm showing that I'm being receptive of it. That's another skill for communication, not only being able to effectively communicate, but being able to take communication as well and show that you're receptive of it and being able to understand it, which I think military leaders also have kind of a leg up on. So, the last tip that I have is just being reliable. So, when working on a team for a project, it's important to know that your team members can rely on you for information and knowing that you're going to get the things that you need to get them done in a timely manner, as well as get them done the way that they're supposed to get done. So, when people know that they can rely on you, they are more likely to make you the leaders of projects and kind of, take charge on it and being able to delegate the things that need to be done. So, Biz, are there any other leadership skills that you think that military members have that can be transferred into a civilian setting?
Yeah, I believe the ability to be flexible in this and to take on kind of like a dual leadership. So like to be in charge and then to take on the lead role or follow directions from another is like a very good leadership skill that military members may have from experience in various rankings and job positions in the military. So they may have at one point been higher up, kind of giving those commands, and then at another point they might have been receiving the directions and the informations and following them. So I think the ability to take on both a leader and a follower role is super important in all aspects of civilian life.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I think that's something that's super important. As well as when you're following rules, you kind of know how you like to be led. And so you can transfer those leadership skills when you are actually leading something. So I think that's super important and not something that I thought about. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to transfer those skills into resume building, into school or jobs, or just overall your life. So, first, describe the skills that you learn in the military into more lay terms. And I know that's something that's super challenging because that's something that we as occupational therapists have to deal with at times as well. But a hiring manager or a professor that has never worked with the military or known anyone who's been in the military, they may not understand the military terms that you use, so the technical details that you experience. So you could be doing something super, super cool that's relevant to the job or whatever project you're working on for school, but if they can't understand you or the terms that you're using, then it's kind of, not effective or not nearly as effective. So don't use military terms or acronyms and instead adapt the terminology into words that the average Joe would be able to understand. So some examples of this include combat into hazardous conditions, mission into task or function or object, or squad into team or section. So like I mentioned, Biz and I, this is something that we have to deal with a lot as occupational therapy students. So Biz, do you have any tips on how you'd like to explain things in more common terms for the general public to understand?
Yeah, well, I could think of several tips. I'm going to try to just sum it up by saying that putting yourself in that person's shoes that you're trying to explain it to, and trying to think from their perspective and level of experience is a strategy that I often use when trying to explain things in lay terms. Like anytime you think about that person's life experiences and or their background, you're more likely to take an open approach in which you check in to make sure that they are understanding what you're trying to explain.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the next thing I have is practice creating a full picture of the military experience that you went through. So while the technical details are super important and the technical skills that you learned can be relevant to other areas, a lot of professors or just hiring managers also want to know about the interpersonal and leadership skills that you learned in the military as well. So you can use some of the skills that we previously talked about in this vlog and apply them to your own experiences, or I'm about to share a bunch of resources for you guys and you can use that as well. And then the last little tip that I have for you guys are some challenges that veterans often face are their nonverbal cues or their tone when leading something. So kind of like what Biz talked about with communication, you have to make sure that your nonverbal is okay as well. So civilians often feel threatened when someone's nonverbal cues are considered non-approachable. So this could be crossing your arms, maybe not smiling when talking to someone, or using the tone as like an authoritarian tone. Making sure that your tone just is coming off as friendly and not demanding when leading a project is super important. So now I'm going to share some resources for you guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, Biz, can you see that okay? Perfect. Okay, so the first one is specifically for Cleveland State students, but most, if not all, colleges also offer something very similar to this. So this is Cleveland State's Career Services website, and it offers things like how to update your resume and cover letter so they can really help you demilitarize your resume. They offer career coaching, so helping you interview for things. They offer just a lot of super cool things, including one thing that I really like is the hire a Vike. So that has jobs on there that specifically for like CSU students, or just it's kind of like a LinkedIn, but just for CSU. So they have available job opportunities in the Cleveland area, which I think is super helpful. So you can always reach out to them on things that you want to go over. So whether that's just completing your resume, or if you need help interviewing, they're more than happy to do that. They're super, super nice there. And then, can you see this? Okay, just want to make sure. So the next one is a LinkedIn article that I found, and it talks about how to demilitarize your resume, which I read it through. It's a super cool article, and it gives nice examples that helps you kind of make your resume. It makes your experience still relevant, but it doesn't make it so that the average Joe can't understand it. And then the last one that I have is just from the University of Southern Mississippi. And it's the Center for Military Veterans. So obviously we go to Cleveland State, but this was a super helpful little article that they have. So it gives you 10 ways to become a better leader, which is obviously super helpful to the average person. But at the end, it also has 8 common traits of military personnel that are not so common in the civilian workplace. So it has some of the skills that we talked about, but it goes into more detail, as well as including some things that we didn't talk about. So it's a great resource, and I highly recommend checking it out. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys. First, thank you to my lovely co-host for joining me on this vlog. And now thank you guys so much for listening to my vlog. I hope you guys were able to get something useful out of this that kind of transfers into your life, both as a student and or, whatever new role that you're planning on doing with your life now that you transition out of the military. So thank you guys so much. Bye.